back, and G2 starting on defense, which means, of course, G2 is going to ban first. And they'll start things off here. I'm going to guess a Lion ban. That's what I think. Nah, they did Nomad. Okay. Oh, well. Nomad gone there from G2, and now NaVi's answer back. So Nomad being banned, I don't know, is that really the most amazing thing? I mean, with Gridlock being as prevalent as she is lately, and her filling a similar role, especially on Cafe. Reminder, it was Cafe where she started to be so popular. There's obviously something going into the thought process there for G2. They don't just do things without thinking about it. I'm guessing they've done heavy research on the way NaVi plays over the last 2 play days, and they determined that NaVi likes to play Nomad and are really good at it. Lion will be banned, just not by G2. It'll be by their opponents.
Valkyrie? Maestro.
Good. Nice guess.
Thanks, man. I try really hard.
So, Mira and Maestro are the defenders.
And G2 will be starting on defense. Now, there's been some jostling as to what the #1 site is overall. Consensus, as of now, tends to be Cocktail, but Kitchen is also quite popular. And then G2, locking in Reading and Fireplace, sits somewhere quite comfortably as well. In fact, the old secondary bomb site on Cafe, which is that mining and fireplace, or mining and dining hall, depending on how you want to call it, if people call it dining, then that is now fallen out of favor. It tends to be the least played of all of the sites. So, all right, you'll roll with the one only true new site, even though the Kitchen site has been overhauled. There was never a bomb inside of Reading.
So, with the Reading Room being this first site here from NaVi, they will be bringing a lot of C4s. As you can see, potentially 4. I wonder, though. That's 1. On mute, maybe? Pulse? No? Okay, well, just the 1 for now. But they probably got 4 C4s on the NaVi lineup, and that's going to be a heavy C4 strategy. We've seen this before on second floor defenses for Cafe, because the way that the attackers are almost every single time going to take this map is from top to bottom. So, yeah, with so much soft destruction, you can really punish the attack from below if you have enough of that explosive. G2 have brought an IQ, which will be useful, of course. You can take care of the Valkyrie cams. You can take care of those of the pulse, potentially through the floor. Make him take some of his own medicine in a way there, and punish NaVi for this attempted C4 from below strategy that they seem to be setting up for. Though it looks like they're also going to have a light roam on the top floor. Could see what... oh, you know what I just noticed? I've been talking about the defense as if it's NaVi. It's actually the other way around. It's G2.
Oh!
Nice shot there from Cancer Ketty. The top of the screen is the wrong way around. We'll fix that in just a second. Hang on.
The only hard breacher gone, removed, taken out of action. Brutal, savage, wrecked, however you want to call it, based upon your esports memes. And not only just a hard breacher, but also Kendrew, who has typically fragged well on those support roles in the past.
Yep, it's a really good pick to have. G2, again, setting up their standard roamer strategy. You know, they put out the feelers, they wait for the attack to come in, and then they start falling back progressively as necessary. Thus far, they haven't been forced to fall back, but Goga's going to be taken down over by Cocktail, so that's a really good pick there for Doki. 1 in Cigar. Pangu looking for the angle. He knows he can at least call out the push through Cigar door using that drone hole. Kenturketty knows there's got to be one pushed up at this point. Getting a little aggressive here. He's giving himself away, and he will drop. It's the right call. Shotgun from Pangu will secure the kill onto Nello. Nice run out there.
That is just a... Jeez, that is really something, what we just saw to Pangu. Words escape me actually trying to describe it, as Kenturketty's C4 will miss its target. Doki very low on HP. He'll survive for the time being, as Fabian now rotates into the laundry area. Just waiting patiently, sitting by the washers as Uno on White Stairs will join him as well. Fabian now outside, heading towards Reading Room. Kenturketty wasting an awful lot of time, but won't get away with anything. Citizen finds him from above, and NaVi have equalized. It's a 3v3, deceptively close. With a minute to go. You've still got the very powerful operator of Pulse on the board in Fabian's hands, as he's just trying desperately to find anybody, possibly on his radar. Great patience from Uno down below. You capitalize on something on white stairs. But he waits for the time being. That's a drop, and I don't know if Citizen was expecting Pengu to be playing that angle. He doesn't have the super shorty in his hands, but both Uno and Fabian will clean up. And G2 will get round numero uno.
Clever.
Thank you.
Yeah. Clap, clap. Yeah, okay. So the C4 not working out for G2, but they didn't need it in the end. They managed to do their standard probe and then fall back strategy, and they got picks along the way, turning that into a punished NaVi attack. So good job to G2 for just playing their standard game there. Didn't look like they did anything too crazy. NaVi at no point seemed to have any sure footing. They did manage to get that pick thanks to Doki upstairs, but it wasn't enough in the end. Now, looks like we'll be going to Cocktail Lounge there for the next site in favor of G2. Being up one round, it'll be a 6-pick into a Clash. Look at that. Off of a castle. So, Clash can be very useful here. Well, she can be very useful in many places. Pretty much, oh yeah, anywhere. Depending on how she is used, though, it's likely... Well, actually, I don't know. I've never seen any Clash play on this map, so... I'll wait and see. There's some really clever things that you could do here. For example, if you put your Clash over by the cocktail balcony, you can call out anytime somebody drops from the new hatch that's from the roof. So that'd be really interesting if that's how Fabian decides to use her. There's just a lot of potential for information gathering, that's for sure. Especially with those soft, again, also with the soft walls over by cocktail, the new ones by the big bar. What you can do is you can actually play around those using Clash to gather information and call out your peaks from the players in cocktail, which those anchors are inevitably there. So again, lots of useful things you can do with Clash, as well as it just playing into G2's standard strategy. I think that's why they've always tried to force Clash into their strat, is because G2 likes to do the roam, probe, and fall back thing. Clash is great at assisting that. Though she hasn't always been the most amazingly useful tool for G2 in their history. However, they like to keep trying.
I mean, you might as well try new things as well, and you know how aggressive a team NaVi is, right? It was said in the very first week that NaVi is one of the most aggressive teams in Pro League. They even agreed with that declaration. And how do you beat aggression? Well, a lot of teams will tackle it head on. In this team, G2 have the skills in terms of actual mechanical aim. They have the game sense, and they usually have the strats to be just as aggressive. And while we usually will refer to Latin America as an aggressive region, and we'll refer to certain teams in North America and EU as aggressive, G2 can match it just as effectively. Yeah. But peeking the skylight by sitting directly underneath it is not usually aggressive. That is typically considered stupid, and Enter Riquetti as somebody you can challenge at that angle. Oh, he'll get it on the saves. You shouldn't be able to make those shots, but he will, and he walks away from it with 50 HP.
There might need to be a revision on that, because, yeah, typically conventional wisdom would dictate that what we just saw Enter Riquetti do is stupid. Doki's going to take down Fabian inside of Piano. He had his shield down. He wasn't able to challenge it. Either he was hit by the lifeline or he just switched to his SMG. Either way, he couldn't challenge it. However, with what they changed on the skylight on Cafe, it's a much tighter angle for the attackers to challenge, and it might be something that we see happen more often. Then again, it might also just be Cantor Ketty being insane. Down there onto Citizen, but he can pick himself up. He might not need to, however, because he's got teammates right next to him. An aggressive play here from Pengu might pay off very well, and it certainly will so far in damage, but no down onto Kendru just yet. It's going to be Cantor Ketty going for the aggressive push to get one. However, Pengu finally shut down on his push over by Piano. Kendru will pick up his teammate as well, but Citizen and Kendru both on very low HP, leaving Nello as one of the most important players on NaVi.
And we see that NaVi have been able to make their way through that wall, so they'll continue to march on up. Even though the march is a little bit slower and with great hesitation, as there's no drones that can be used to spot Canto Riquetti. If Kendru swings around this corner and looks to his left, hard left, and pre-fires, that'll be the end of Canto. But you see how little HP Kendru has. It'll be up to Citizen to try and engage now, but he is also essentially dead. It's a dead man walking, or well, dead woman walking, as it's Zofia, who will try to go over from the cigar side. The Canto Riquetti has the plot there, as it'll be a trade, and it's all up to Citizen now, as you'll see Nello fall. Citizen holding onto that diffuser at the mercy of a spray through the wall. Oh, but it'll take down Uno. Goga, where are you? 3 seconds. Can the Zofia get to you in time? Yeah, he can. Is this about to be a clutch? No. It doesn't really matter. It was only one bullet, and the MP5 suppressed. Doesn't do a ton of damage, but it doesn't need to do much.
Okay, wow, so very close there. Nearly a Navi round. However, what ended up costing them the whole round was their last push. In the 3 versus 3, Navi did neither drone out Piano nor push on the angle that would have nullified Cancer Ketty inside of Piano before pushing Piano itself. So let me just explain that. They tried to push into Piano one at a time, losing their Maverick to Cantor Ketty, who was lingering there. That's a free kill for Kanto, and he's just playing an aggressive, odd position. You could say, why is he there? But it worked out for him, so that's all that really matters. The way that Navi could have avoided that was by pushing where they inevitably did push to get Cantor Ketty before trying to take into Piano. So wrong order there for Navi did cost them that round. Despite them coming very close, it could have been a win for them. Now G2 going to be going to Kitchen next, as they have won every site so far that they've gone to. Now Kitchen, actually a favorite site for a lot of people.
Hold on. Listen to how accurate the sounds of what appear to be clanging utensils are. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
It was.
I have no idea what it actually was, but I heard it.
I mean, it sounded like it was next, but that's strange because it sounded like it was coming from the kitchen.
Maybe it was. Sound in this game.
Let me tell you.
Well, let me tell you about sound.
It sounded like I was at IKEA rustling through the drawers full of utensils. That's what it sounds like.
Kendrew will eliminate Uno early on, so already disadvantaged G2.
Don't ignore me. Don't ignore my metaphors.
You know what?
How dare you?
It was a kill. I had to call it a kill. I mean, we have to talk about it at least. That's a big pick there, as Uno is a heavy fragger for G2.
More importantly, if Kendrew heats up, then that can be trouble for G2. Kendrew competed for top frag in the very first match that we saw in week number 1.
Cantor Ketty trying to challenge this front door, and he narrowly missed that kill onto Citizen. Very close there to evening things out. Doki, though, will take down Pengu, so here we go. Navi in the driver's seat, at least right now. They're also starting to go for the Thermite. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, Goga had to expend both of his impacts. Not sure if that was necessary or if he just accidentally fat-fingered it, but either way, the wall will now be opened because of 2 impacts for the first Exothermic. Cantor Ketty also takes down saves, so G2 starting to get their frags, and we know that they can recover from a deficit like this.
And the 2-person conga line upstairs of G2 as they look towards the top of the site, leaving Goga inside of the site all by himself. He's going to have the position and safety of these goo mines. He takes out Citizen on a good pre-fire, knowing that there was Zofia playing around the door, and we're back to an even contest. But there goes Fabian. Goga takes out Kendrew, spraying in deep, and that'll be the diffuser dropped as well. And 13 meters away, near the site, that might be unretrievable. There's still tons of time, though, if you're Navi and you want to try to go get it. Keep in mind that the guns don't do an awful lot of damage on G2's side of things, but both Nello and Doki have taken a bit of a beating, as has Goga, losing about 50% of his health. He sees another body, but it's a quick peek from Doki. Very well played from the Scotsman as he pops up and shuts down Goga, and then finds yet another. What a round from Doki. A bundle of kills at the very end, in addition to the kills he'd gotten earlier. And that'll be the round for Navi.
That was a really good awareness there from Doki. Must have been a drone to call that out on the flank. And overall, just a really great entry into Bakery. Navi started off with the advantage, and it nearly went sour, but they managed to keep the ball rolling in their favor. Now, the big thing for that was Navi's ability to shut down the roamers, the probes from G2, because that's what G2 so often does. They play offsite and they start to fall back as it becomes necessary. But Navi were able to deny the fallback, eliminate those probes, and then when they went for the push onto the anchors, they nearly lost, because Goga is just so proficient at that anchor. But they made it work in the end. Thanks to Doki's efforts, and good job to Navi to put a round on the board. Now, Kitchen being unsuccessful and Reading opening back up, it will be Reading that we go back to here for G2. So far, it's been a decent defensive half for G2, and they're going to continue with that C4 heavy strategy, though not nearly as heavy as it once was. They don't have the Pulse anymore. They're now bringing the Legion. Both are good, but Legion more universally strong and will assist the anchors a lot more on this site.
It'll just be a different amount of play, that's all, right?
Yeah.
The way that you're going to use it. I mean, you're still going to have information there coming out from both Valkyrie and the Mozzie if Pengu is able to ensnare one or two of those drones.
I mean, technically, Legion is also an information operator. So, I mean, there's definitely information around. Pengu's been doing a lot of work playing inside of Piano. You can see that there's the Mute Jammers and the Pests going into Piano, around Piano. And there used to be just a Mute Jammer strategy around Piano where you could put a roamer here and Mute Jammers would assist him enough to, deny information from the attackers and he could just challenge fights and take them head on without information being against him. But with Mozzie on top of Mute, it's even more potent to roam in places like Piano. You assist yourself as the Mozzie. So G2 leaning into that pretty heavily.
All in Repel for the time being. We got to see in the Penta Mouse matchup just how strong in the upside down Repel can be in the perspective, greatly benefiting the attackers. Wouldn't be too surprised to see Citizen do something similar, but you got a cross here from Doki, 2 big kills as he entries, drops down the hatch, and he can just continue to march on forward. I think he knows that there's a Nitro cell underneath him. He's looking for a third, but he's having some trouble with Goga. Target priority is not obviously his strong suit at the moment, as he looks to drop if the Mute has gotten away at this point, which Goga does, 25 HP.
Potentially third. That's really unfortunate. The fact that the third kill there for Doki managed to get away, that was Goga, and the fact that that team kill just came out from Navi means that G2 has a fighting chance in this round. Those two factors could cost them, but Uno is going to be picked off as he attempts to rotate. Poor timing there. He doesn't know, or he obviously couldn't have known, but it is unfortunate to see. Kendry's also going to get Goga. Means it's just Fabian in the 1 versus 4. They'll make that a 1 versus 3 before he's shut down by saves coming in from behind. A nice take there from Navi, again punishing those roamers so well. And following that, it's just a concerted effort onto a site take that ends up going in the way of Navi because they have a man advantage. And then we have a man advantage, again, thanks to Doki's efforts. You could see there that the roamer by the cocktail balcony was relying on Pengu denying that drop by the new drop from the roof. And, well, that denial did not come out. So, a nice clear there from Navi, again, and a good round from Doki.
Both Kendra and Doki are just such strong players, and they're able to make great space and take advantage of having the defenders or attackers looking the other way. The game sense on Doki in particular is very impressive, and so far, 7 kills through 4 rounds is pretty good. Kendra picking up some slack for the rest of the team too, but usually you're going to see Doki and Kendra in a 1-2 on the team.
Yeah. Both excellent fraggers.
This game has tightened up quite a bit. That very first round looked like G2 was just going to run an absolute train all over Navi.
We were slipping that direction, but luckily for Navi, they've managed to stop that.
And the train has been halted.
Yeah. It's funny because there is a
yes, a
room called Train.
I wonder if that played into why I said what I said, Michael.
That's why I said it was funny. Ha ha ha. You should see his face right now.
I'm very angry. I'm filled with all-consuming rage.
It's okay. They're there, Parker.
Anyway. You gotta hope that G2 isn't filled with said rage, because you know that they do have strong attitudes and strong opinions on the team. And it seemed like in that very first round for G2, they were having an awful lot of fun. I mean, you have Pengu flying out of the windows, holding the Super Shorty in his hand.
Yeah.
They were playing very loose, very aggressively. Kanto was peeking the skylight for crying out loud, taking chances that most normal teams wouldn't do. But when G2, you have that collection and accumulation of talent that they do, you can kind of be looser and freer.
Force it.
So far, you could force it. That's a good way of putting it. But so far, over the last 2 rounds, Navi have been able to be far more aggressive and take advantage of the fact that G2 was playing maybe not as coordinated and sophisticated as they could. G2 is going to have to find that footing at some point, because it's one thing to play loose and fun, but it's another thing to make mistakes and take chances that you have no real reason to do.
NaVi again looking for picks. This time they're not going to get any, and here's why. The roamers from G2 are on the bottom floors, whereas NaVi is placing all of their emphasis and all of their focus upstairs currently. They could start to clear out roamers downstairs and get those picks, but that's not apparently the plan. Doki's going to make it through the drop unscathed, and C4 from below. So it was bait there from G2. And again, the fact that NaVi isn't actually clearing the roamers, the fact that they're just placing, well, they're trying to attack the top floor because the top floor is usually how you would clear the roamers. The fact that NaVi can't shift gears here and address the G2 roamers head on is costing them a lot, because every round that NaVi has won, it's because they get picks on the roamers early on and then turn that into an easy landslide on the site, which you can't do that when you're attacking the site first. Pengu going to light up his opponent, but be lit up in turn, and Citizen will cut off Pengu's rotation, putting NaVi back in this round 4-4. NaVi has a decent amount of time to make this attack happen, and Citizen gets his second kill. It's looking even better. Gogo pre-firing a common spot, but that's 3 for Citizen, and he is just bull rushing into the main bar, doing so much damage to G2. Flank watch from Kendrew. No ace here for Citizen. Fabian, the last one alive, playing by Cocktail. He knows one has come onto the Cocktail balcony and is waiting for that peek, but it's not going to happen just yet. No plant going down. There's the peek. He'll get the diffuser on the floor, but Citizen with a 4K, and NaVi will take an attack onto Cocktail. A beautiful assault there. Despite not getting an early advantage, NaVi put 3 rounds in a row.
And have looked pretty good in doing so. In all reality, haven't had much of a challenge on at least 2 of them, I would say. Fabian was given a unique opportunity when the Sledge was playing on side of the Cocktail balcony, and that's because the Sledge held the diffuser. And because of this, if you gun the Sledge down and then you hide for a long enough period of time, you might be able to somehow, you know, squeeze out a win on that site. But the time wasn't favoring Fabian, and you know, there's too many strong guns on Navi's side that are still hanging around. Very final defense for G2, and they are currently facing a scare.
Yeah, this is actually, by the way, just a quick reminder for you guys, this is the most one-sided community vote for the day. 80% of you thought that G2 was going to take it.
Is that so?
It is so.
Okay.
Just a reminder. I mean, NaVi hasn't won yet. This is still just the first half. Could go 3-3, and G2 would be very comfortable and sure going on to attack. But NaVi have looked pretty strong. I question how that's going to transition onto defense, though, because one thing that I'm sure many of you have noticed is that NaVi are allowing them, well, not allowing, they are making this advantage happen for themselves by, you know, sheer force of will and initiative. And by that I mean they can position themselves where they want to catch G2 off guard. But when you switch over to a defense, it more comes down to the, you know, you're receiving how your enemy chooses to position themselves, how your enemy tries to set themselves up. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe NaVi will just stay aggressive when they get over to defense. Maybe they'll just take the fight to their opponent. Maybe they'll, you know, keep going forward, as it were. I'm not sure. But right now, I think a big boon for NaVi is the fact that they're on attack. I think it's working out really well for them, especially in that last round, thanks to Citizen.
It's really just coming down to somebody walking in and getting 2 picks. That has been the story for, what, 3 rounds now?
Well, last round it was 3 picks.
Ooh. Correct. So now this time it's going to have to be 4 picks.
Is that how it works?
That's how numbers work. Because then from 2 you go to 3, and then from 3 you go to 4.
So. Oh, okay. Thank you.
But allowing NaVi to walk in and take that very first pick, as you pointed out, is very important because it pushes G2 back. And you've seen that G2 have tried to reposition somebody every single time, as you'd expect them to do so when they lose a member of the team.
Yeah, they're good at refrags.
But the problem is that there hasn't exactly been the same distance between G2 and NaVi as G2 has done against other teams. You know, it's referred to often as the 5-second rule, where G2 are 5 seconds away from each other at all times.
And it's just, yeah, it's definitely, it's not working out great for them right now. It might not be the distance. I don't know if it's the distance or if it's because NaVi are just playing so fast. But however you look at it, Uno's about to get a free kill. There it is. Down goes Nello. A beautiful flank there from Uno, and he's just going to fall back. He doesn't need to pressure that anymore. Get a man advantage and, you know, hold it. Doki will also be shut down as he attempts to vault into the engine room. And Uno with his second kill. Kendrew trying to challenge the pulse inside of engine, but it's actually going to be Citizen who gets the kill. NaVi's still in this, but it's very desperate. Both of the 2 NaVi attackers are inside of Train. They could access the A-bomb site, actually, and get a plant. C4 could potentially be from below or from the sides. There are 2 here. Very narrowly not going to be able to get that kill, the Citizen, as Uno shuts down his teammate. There was potential for Citizen to open up another avenue to rotate that would have been not exposed using his breaching charges or lifeline, but he chose not to, and now he's in a 1 versus 4.
This is a tough position for him to be in because his entrance towards the fireplace and dining room area is going to be cut off and held, whether it's Uno or Canto Ricchetti. Doesn't really matter. G2 will draw even on their defense, and now they'll go on to attack. There was some belief that Cafe is a defender-sided map. If that's the case, then this greatly benefits NaVi, given the fact that G2 couldn't stick the landing on a victory on their side.
I will say that round was probably the most one-sided round we've seen all match. There was a great defense from G2. A lot of holes in the attack on the side of NaVi, especially Uno being allowed to come up from behind and below on the red stairs. We'll be going to, looks like, reading for the first defensive round on the side of NaVi. Now,
interesting that reading has emerged as the favored site
for both teams.
This will be its 4th time being played so far, as it was a successful defense for G2. Then they lost reading, and then they won reading on their final stand. Well, okay then.
I think it's a big part of why reading is so strong is because you can have roamers above and below it. So if you see your opponent, the attackers, coming from above, you can circle around from below, and vice versa. It's very. It's a lot of room to work with for the defense.
It's also really tough to take those sites too, right? How are you going to take Fireplace, for example? Most teams are likely going to try to go through the actual Fireplace itself. How are you going to take reading? Well, you need to control pillars. How do you control pillars? Well, you got to flush out the 3rd site above because you're very vulnerable from both of the balconies. Okay, so now you're essentially clearing the top and have to do that, and then also have to clear pillars. There's a lot of steps to it that we're seeing.
It's also like you can deny reading from above, and you can deny Fireplace from below. So again, those roamers come into play. If you lose control of the site, I mean, this is definitely one of those sites that's purely retake for the defense. You don't necessarily have to have anchors as much as you do have to have somebody in a position where they can deny the plant from either above or below. Or just, retake after you punish the attackers for taking the site in the first place. Because there are very few avenues directly into the site where a punishment isn't going to be in line for the defense, where they're not going to be able to pick off one of the attacking operators in the process of taking the site itself. So, I don't know, yeah, it's a good site. It's a very, malleable site. You could do a lot of different things with it. And, yeah, makes sense that it would be the more popular one on the rework of Cafe.
This will continue to shake out as Coastline changed, as Villa changed, and try to determine exactly where teams want to go here. Jostling of the diffuser now as Goga will drop it, and Pengu will be basically sent out to go get it. Kanto go kill is the instruction, and he'll find that and do it quite well on Doki.
That's his new name, Kanto go kill?
Well, that's what Fabian said the strategy is he says Kanto go kill and G2 wins rounds.
If you say it fast, it sounds really cool.
Kanto go kill.
Kanto go kill. And he's doing just that, as Doki is on the floor. And right now, NaVi playing especially passive for NaVi. They are using a castle strategy on this top floor, trying to hard hold it. It's worked out all right for them so far. There is a Zofia in play, though, so that could stop working at any second. And as the exothermic detonates at the top of red, Citizen might try for an aggressive play here. He actually could get away with it pretty easily, and he will. There's Goga on the floor and Diffuser as well. Citizen shouldn't have been able to get away with that unpunished.
Somebody made a whoopsie and didn't bother to drone out piano, it seems, and because of this, you lose your hard breacher. And it's a good thing that Goga had relinquished the diffuser earlier on. Actually, it looked like he was downstairs and Pengu was going to get it, and he'll finally grab it. Kendrew playing this odd angle. He grabs Kanto Ricchetti. He was playing the punch hole underneath the rotate inside a bathroom.
So far, this round has really boiled down to a serious lack of information on the top floor. And why is that, you might ask? I could tell you why. It's the Pest and Mute Jammer combination that we're seeing NaVi bring out. And it's not revolutionary, but it is certainly a huge hurdle for teams that rely on those drones to gather information, which is something that is being, I think, it's been obvious for G2 through this round. Kentriketti tried to substitute the lifeline, but he wasn't successful because the player who killed him was outside of its range. Saves, takes down Fabian, and it's looking better for NaVi as Pengu will eliminate Kendrew on the entry into Reading Room. A beautiful kill there from Pengu, but at the same time, will it be enough is the real question. The answer, no. Saves. The final 2 kills there. NaVi take the round, and their first defense goes the way of Natus Vincere. That's going to put them up 4-3 in their favor.
He saves the day.
saved. The puns and you and today. What?
Told you it was the heat.
It must be.
Told you it was the heat.
It's nonstop puns.
I don't know why you didn't believe me.
If you guys haven't been watching the whole broadcast,
Why
nonstop.
I said it was the heat. It was the heat.
All right. So, looks like we'll be going to Kitchen. This is the second time total we've gone to Kitchen. It did not work out very well for G2, so they did not repeat it. We'll see if NaVi have something special to show us here. There's a castle again, so once more, a castle strategy. Seen him used to great effect on this site before, but not by either of these teams. Not especially. I think a lot of teams consider Castle to be a very important operator on Kitchen.
You tend to see teams get very aggressive here on Kitchen. And we've seen this in Europe in particular with the plays that happen. And we saw it with G2 as well on their defense. I think it is about the site that emboldens teams to pop out and take so many fights and try to aggressively contest Kitchen over other sites. I mean, I can understand that on the old version of Kitchen, where it was very challenging as a defender, but I think the general consensus of this site is that it's easier to defend and more pleasant to play on.
Easier now, more pleasant, certainly. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that if you, as the defenders, allow the attackers with all of their utility to simply lock you down in sight, there is very little chance of you winning the round on this site. Because while there is, yes, a lot of cover and places for NaVi to hide, look at the rotation potential that you have within Kitchen. Let's say that you're deep in the, I believe it was the north side of Kitchen. It's hard to say with the compass moving around so much. Let's say, okay, thank you. Let's say you're deep in the east side of Kitchen, and the attack is coming from Bakery. They open up the wall. The rotation potential is extremely limited. You've got a soft wall right now with no rotations, which means you've got one double door, and that's it. So if you allow the attackers to cut you off there, and they have full utility, full manpower, the odds of you coming out successfully on that round are slim to none. You don't even need, like, the attackers don't even need to cut off rotation from the roamers, other than to hold the flank by Bakery, which is a one-man job. So I think you kind of have to have some kind of roaming presence to at least bleed a little bit of utility away from the attackers if you want to be successful as a defensive team on this particular site. And that's just because it's an easy to cut apart one.
And you also mentioned bleeding utility, and that's why so many teams tend to favor Castle on this site as well, is because what are some of his primary functions? Well, it's to waste utility or make attackers expend utility in a position that they wouldn't usually need to do so. What a shot from Citizen! The man is getting away with murder for the time being. Speaking of murder, he'll get dropped, trying to get revived back to life by Doki, but Fabian just charges right on into the Swede, taking matters into his own hands. He'll punish 2 on the board for G2, and while they lose Kanto in the process, I think that's a pretty worthy sacrifice for what G2 is able to accomplish.
Yeah, Fabian really salvaged that situation. Doki almost got Citizen back up, and you can rest assured that he probably would have been able to do some damage had he been able to get his gun up, but that, well, didn't happen, thanks to Captain Fabian. Now, G2, with the man advantage, are going to start pushing the site, but they only have a minute to make this happen, and there's still castle barricades in the way. Breaching charges expended there by Uno, so he's not going to be able to open them up. The Zofia is dead, so she won't be able to open it up. Maybe Fabian has breaching charges. There is one on Pengu, attacking in through Bakery. An unreinforced wall might be an easy access point here. And Kendrew is going to be forced back because of that exothermic charge, actually, as it turns out. Wall opened up over by Bakery. Challenge there from Kendrew, but he won't land any shots. Oh, narrowly missing out on the kill there from IQ. And again, here we go. A nice cutoff from G2 in the site, and it's going to start hurting NaVi significantly. There isn't a lot they can do to retake the site. This is exactly what we were just talking about. As Goga starts going for the plant, Nello will get one on the flank and saves with the impact to deny that plant. Goga gets off of it, and it's going to be Pengu pushing deep in sight, leaving just Nello. Plant has to go down, which means Pengu must cover, but he has to win the fight in order to be successful in this endeavor, and he will! Pengu always clutches him out, and there you go. G2 take the round on attack from Bakery for Kitchen, and we're going back to an even round count, 4-4.
Almost no way that G2 should have walked away as the victor in that round, especially when you're pulling off an execute with 24 seconds to go. 24, 30 seconds, it doesn't really matter how specific it is. You're using your exothermic charges, you've had the defense open up most of that site, they know the angles that you're going to come from, and you should have been able to ride out that storm if you're NaVi, and it really comes down to Pengu as a hero play. A hero play of him walking on in, taking 2 engagements, winning both of them, continuing on, holding and watching and covering the plant, and getting within a hair of that diffuser not going down on time. And G2 just simply waiting because they know that the mute is going to have to re-engage. And when the mute re-engages, you're going to be watching that angle. There are players that miss those shots. There aren't many in Pro League that are going to miss that shot. It's not even that Pengu's a talented player. It's just fairly routine at that point that you know that they're going to keep popping up from the same direction and not try anything new. A stunner, I would say. A stunner that G2 came out of that, because while you were casting, I looked at the clock, and I thought, okay, there's under 30 seconds to go. How on earth are you about to pull off and execute on this site? But there are sites in the game where you can pull off and execute within 10 seconds. Under 10 seconds, you can have full control. And while G2 didn't have full control at the onset, it was Pengu who took it forcefully, very quickly. This has propelled NaVi up top to the cocktail site. They're not going to try kitchen a second time in a row. Reading will unlock no matter what happens here on cocktail to break the stalemate between these two teams, as I think this is a much closer matchup than a lot of people predicted.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is the match of the day.
4% draw. So, it certainly is, by the way. This is the match of the day. We have a 7-2, 7-3, and a 7-4. And now we've got a 4-4, so this is already, if nothing else, drawed for the Oh, that hurt to watch. That's unfortunate. Siege timing at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Cantor Keddy, he's gonna shrug that one off. He'll move on.
It's unfortunate timing, as you said.
Yeah. Now, pretty standard stuff so far from G2. They took a minute to get to the roof. They're going to start applying pressure to the drop downs. They're probably going to start to take into piano, and then they'll, if this is the same attack that we had in the old cafe, just executed slightly differently, and there's more relevance on piano because of the angles.
So here's something different about G2. You had Uno running gridlock every single time that G2 attacked cafe in play number 1.
But
they haven't ran gridlock once so far. And why is that? Because instead of trying to cut down rotates and force a site push, G2 is trying to track down the roamers on their own and just simply beat them in a contest head-to-head. It's worked a couple rounds this time. Goga's the first casualty, and Kanto's very low on HP as well. There's a C4 that went off, and that's what claimed the hard breacher on G2.
There's also the fact that the Echo is not banned right now. It's not being brought either, but it's not banned. So you need to bring an IQ just in case. The Valkyrie is a relevant operator, so you, again, need to bring the IQ. Uno on the Capitao is a kind of, you got to bring Capitao. He's so powerful now, so he's going to be a lot more aggression to actually pushing into the site. Those bolts are going to be so very useful when you're taking. Now, you've lost your hard destructor here in this round. That's really devastating, but it's still something you can recover from, that's for sure. Cantor Keddy on low HP, not great. But yeah, G2 just looking for different pieces of utility here.
I was going to say, Citizen was spotted on drone. I don't think he knew that, but he still catches Fabian anyway. So G2 look like they're about to be relinquishing the lead back to NaVi, who have held it for, I think, more time than G2 was expecting. Pengu getting that diffuser down. Kanto finished off, and you'll have Uno now trying to protect Pengu. This is a very good spot for Uno to be in, though, as he's playing from above. But he engages, and Pengu falls. This is going to be very tough for Uno now. Amidst the smoke, Citizen diffusing, and Uno doesn't know this. He can't do anything about it, but he's not paying attention, and it'll be an easy defuse for NaVi. No contest for G2 as they're playing above, and I don't think Uno had the right calls. NaVi is 1 round away from securing a point against G2, and a very crucial one at that, especially with how close the standings have been.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looking like NaVi are going to be pushing us to match point if that last round is anything to go on. They will be going to Reading now, which is the other site that they were successful on. They look pretty strong here. And Kitchen, definitely not either of these teams' favorite site so far, but Reading has been working out pretty reliably. Now, that last round. It was a really interesting take from G2. One thing that strikes me is that they didn't actually have a whole lot of control when they went for that diffuser plant, which is kind of counter G2. Now, I'm guessing the thought process was, we have Uno on the skylight. We may as well plant somewhere where he can watch it and simply rely on him to clutch out the round, which is sensible to an extent. However, he had already at that point used all of his firebolts, so he could not firebolt the diffuser. If that were possible, he would have been able to kill a lot of time, then simply pre-fire on the diffuser itself. the assertiveness of NaVi to get on that diffuser and disable it as quickly as they did was ultimately what saved them the round. You know, when we saw Uno alive, the last one on the Skylight, the first thing that went through my head was, Uno could win this. He could take this one home. It's possible. Unfortunately, he just, like you said, he wasn't really paying attention to the diffuser, so he did. Again, a firebolt would have really helped him there, but he didn't have any.
Yeah, he was all out of them at that point.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate, but there you go. So, nice one to NaVi on the retake. An interesting take from G2. I like their call to just try and put it all on Uno because there was no other way to salvage that round at that point. But, of course, it wasn't ideal for them, and it, didn't get them to win.
Kanto Raketti was in the back bar storage area, and he didn't have any coverage whatsoever as Pengu attempted to go for the plant moments later. And Kanto got killed from what appeared to be bathroom. And then you had Uno up top, but I mean, he can't see that. He's blind to whatever's in bathroom. You can possibly throw down an asphyxiating bolt.
Oh.
But we got a rush here, and G2's just going to barrel on into the site. A toxic canister will shut them down, and then so will Saves. As he finds one, Kendrew finds another. Goga down Saves, and Nello inside a site. He'll find one too. He's got the shotgun in hand, but he's going to get pushed from another angle. There's the Capitao of Uno in a position to possibly get the smoke if he wants to. This G2 go for broke strategy is amazingly repelled by the team of NaVi. Nello gets forced off from 2 asphyxiating bolts, but there was no coordination or follow-through from G2 there, so it'll be an opportunity for Nello to just simply regroup, and the rest of NaVi to hold on. As Kendrew doesn't know that there's a body below him, he sees the Capitao, shreds through Uno, and Pengu, who just has one tiny morsel of HP left and does not hold that diffuser, has a near impossible task, but a point on the board, as that's a round on the board for NaVi, and they'll secure themselves a draw. There'll be no victory here for G2 nor their fans. And what an impressive showing given the state that NaVi found themselves in after playday number 2 to be able to steal a point away from G2.
It's looking like an upset here, ladies and gentlemen, and one of those upsets that certainly earns you some fans. I mean, the way that NaVi are playing right now mechanically is top. It is really excellent. The thing to point out for me that is the most impressive is the fact that NaVi were able to finish their setup in the actual prep phase. A lot of teams bleed over for 10, 20 seconds. But this time, NaVi, they were set up, ready to go, and they immediately repelled the G2 rush. There was a gas canister popped as soon as a player started shooting. That's impressive. It really is. And not only that, but they doubled down on that so much that they actually had overkill to deny the rush because they had a Valkyrie flanking from behind the rush from Cocktail. She dropped from Cocktail balcony, was behind the rush after everyone on the rush was dead. That's impressive responsiveness from NaVi. You can't dance around that. And the Hail Mary from G2 just didn't pay off.
Every single member of NaVi, with the exception of one, is positive right now. Nello is sitting at a perfect and flat 0. Reverse is true for G2, who has one member sitting at 0 while the rest are in negative KD.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you that even though it's a 6-4, that's how close some of these rounds have been.
And, I mean, even Nello, not being positive, he contributed so much last round on the anchor inside of reading. He did a lot of work there.
Or rather, that it's a 6-4, how close some of these rounds haven't been. Because a lot of these rounds have been blowouts.
Well, that last round was a blowout because, very simple, G2 went for a Hail Mary, again, the rush strategy, and NaVi were ready for it. That's it. There's not a whole lot else to say about it.
I mean, it's hard to do analysis when anything worth analyzing happened within 4 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, but, again, really, rush strat, so
you were right.
Summarize it
the setup from NaVi was great, right? They had the castle playing inside of the laundry area.
Yes.
In a Valkyrie flanking, they had the smoke ready to blanket the doorway as G2 pushed on in.
Cut them down as they do as well. And the castle really big with that UMP.
I think Goga was the only person who got a kill in like the ensuing fray, and then it just kind of fell to pieces from there.
Oh,
and
no.
Down goes the captain, Fabian. One of your 2 sets of smokes.
Look at that angle.
Kanto Raketti refrags onto Doki. That's a beautiful angle there from Kendrew, but you lose another ACOG, so you're only going to rely on Kendrew.
Pengu's still alive. He was the star of the show the last time G2 tried this site. Saves is going to eliminate Kanto Raketti. So NaVi continue this having the man advantage trend. Though again, Pengu plus the cutoff ability from Uno. Lots of utility there. Next second exothermic charge going on the bakery wall. This red hallway pressure is going to be significant from Citizen if he's able to open up that castle barricade. If anyone has impacts for it, it'll be pretty substantial. Nello doesn't, though, so that's actually not going to be a factor here for Citizen.
He can rip it down, though, as he
has to time it perfectly.
He gets ever so close to that castle barricade.
Oh, he's going to try and melee it down. That's interesting.
He's trying to draw somebody out, thinking there might be a body outside, but from our perspective, it doesn't look like there is. Only Uno, who's got the crossbow in hand. Pengu can hear that somebody's whacking away at it, so G2 is wise to the tricks of NaVi. But down goes Saves as Pengu is still watching, and you gotta hurry if you are a Citizen. There goes a toxic canister, and there's still a yokai drone as well that will assist the defense. But it's only Kendrew on site who's going to wait to pull the trigger and knock off Goga. And there you go. Well timed, but Pengu is sitting and waiting, and for some reason the kitchen just happens to be Pengu's home for the time being. He finds a second kill this round, and they are very pivotal, coming to try to break apart this defense. On their belly, just tempting them to rise up. As there you go. Might be positioned now for the Echo to be able to get close enough, but he'll time it yet again. 1 second, pushed out, 25 seconds to go, and on match point, trying to secure the victory is NaVi. But they're going to run out of time here as well. Somebody's going to need to do good work to try and stop the Thermite. See if there's coverage from Nello. Peeking out his Pengu, but Nello shuts him down. You've got another yokai on the case. 8 seconds, continue to tag. This might be able to bleed over, but if you've got 2 shots left, you have to time this really effectively. Oh, and Nello will save the day, putting Uno in a position who will not be able to grab the diffuser. And G2 falling short. NaVi a massive victory. A 7-4 scoreline, the same as they did against Penta earlier, and they are undefeated on Cafe. What a performance from NaVi.
Beautiful job there from NaVi, that's for sure. And Nello in particular, you saw the way he stutter-stepped on the door. Instead of choosing to rush into the flank, as less experienced players would, he lingered and waited until he was all but certain that there was nobody actually holding his flank. He waited because he knew the Echo drone was still alive. And because the Echo drone was still alive, I'm sure you guys could tell that there was probably calls coming out from his teammates. He's watching the flank, he's not watching the flank, he's watching the flank, he's not watching the flank. He waited for that one, the not watching the flank call, and perfectly timed his push to deny the defuse plant. Also, can we talk about that Echo denial as well? And the fact that there was nothing from G2 to shoot the yokai drones?
That was 2 drones, too.
Yeah.
2 drones, both positioned. Kendrew playing the time perfectly, knowing that you have 7 seconds, and then maneuvering the second one to get no position to do the rest of the work.
It was really, really curious that the denial wasn't snuffed out by G2. A nice attempt there from them, but just a better holdout from NaVi and a really good rotation to deal with the bakery push.
Well, we have an interview ready with Doki. Again, we get to talk to him for a second time, so we'll bring him up as NaVi is victorious. Now 2 wins in, over 3 matches. And it's nice to see you again. Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you very much.
You're undefeated on Cafe so far this season, so I guess the game plan from here on out is just continuously force Cafe every other game, I'm assuming?
I mean, I guess you could say that, but no, we want to try some new maps as well, obviously, so yeah, but GG.
Now, you saw G2 play this because every single team in Europe played Cafe on Playday number 1, yourself included. You beat Penta 7-4 on this map, but as the way Penta played was so different from G2, you also made a couple changes here. How much of that was counter-stratting G2, and how much of that was just the way that your team in 4 days, actually, 5 days, how much of that is how much you've changed on Cafe?
Well, after watching G2 play Cafe against Mouse, we knew that they brought a lot of like nades, capital, things like that. So we were kind of expecting that to come. We were also maybe expecting a Monty from Pengu. You know, he's very good on Monty, and we struggled against Penta like that. But that didn't happen. So our prep went really well. We knew that we had to waste as much time as we could with solo roaming, like just holding off Bakery, as you've seen in the last round there, for as long as we could, and just overall wasting time. So I think that was our main kind of focus this whole match, and it worked out. So yeah.
Was there a growing sense as you got halfway through the actual match that, hey, we can take more chances, we can take more fights and walk away winning them?
Well, I think that one of our problems is we shouldn't be scared against a team like G2. That's kind of like last week's game against Vitality, this hurt us a lot. We were really scared to take the gunfights. We didn't want to peek. We wanted to play as safe as possible, and that really showed. Like, we really underperformed. So we were like, if we peek these guys, we can win. Like, our gun skill is just as good as these guys. We can win. We can win everything. So that was our approach to it, and we played a bit silly, but it worked. So yeah.
Yeah, the Vitality matchup was an interesting one because I think a lot of people went in after seeing your performance against Penta thinking, hey, this might be a cakewalk for them, especially considering Challenger League last season. What do you think really went wrong? Was it just being afraid to take gunfights, or was there more to it?
Okay, so Vitality banned Thermite on club, which we've never experienced before in an official match. And we also followed that up with banning Maverick, which as soon as we done that, we were kind of like, dear, this is a mistake. So we kind of knew from the get-go that this match was going to be like an uphill struggle. So that was probably the main reason we struggled so much, and that's our fault. That's completely our fault. We misjudged them, and they did play really well. They played really secure. They'd clearly prepped for that exact bans, etc. So yeah, well played.
And as a newer team to Pro League, how long do you think it took you to assess that and bounce back? Was that something that you wouldn't have had the same perspective on, a couple months back when you were still playing in Challenger League?
So as soon as we lost that game to Vitality, like literally 30 minutes later, we had a 30-minute break and we went straight into a custom game and sorted all of our issues out. We practiced the next day with the Thermite ban. We practiced all of this type of stuff. Even though this might not happen again, we just tried and sorted our issues out, cleaned them all up, and yeah, so that's that.
Well,
without leaking too much.
Well, no, of course. I don't want you to give away all the secrets, but that's one of the things with Pro League teams, right, is that, from my perspective, if I can just add my own point here, growing up as a caster, seeing the amateur scene all the way up, what really sets apart the Pro League teams typically from the amateur teams is just what you know and what you can practice, and having NaVi as your org and the infrastructure, I'm sure it helps out and allows you to have a much greater breadth of strategy. But anything you want to add at the conclusion of the interview, your second one so far this season?
Yeah, just GG Fabian, it was a nice try. So yeah, that was a roast. Also, I just want to thank NaVi and especially our player manager, Nightend, who has been helping us out so much this week and the past week. So yeah, thanks.
I assume you're not going to be directing people over to G2's store the same way that he did, so thank you for withholding.
No, however... No. It's okay.
I was ready for it, so thank you for the restraint. Sometimes it's nice to have that in interviews. It was a pleasure talking to you again. I'm sure we'll see you again. Take care.